I keep on harping on this, but it's really important, and I want everyone to really understand it. Whenever you are launching advertising or marketing, you have to think of your business. Like, this is literally how I visualize businesses. Okay. Someone has a problem. They go through your business machine and then they have a solution. And in exchange, they give you money. That's all a business is. So the question is, what is your business machine? Usually this comes in the form of a menu. Okay. So there's a lot of different options. And I've been talking about this for a long time, but I always recommend that you have something free, then you have something that's low ticket, then you have something that's medium, usually a subscription as well. Then you have something that's high ticket. Free can be social media, free can be a newsletter, free can be freemium software. If you guys are building an app or a software, you can have a free version and then you upgrade people. Free could be free training. Think about it this way. So training, premium software, newsletter, or if you're really good at social media, you can do social media. Does that make sense? You're giving people a free version, a free taste of whatever you're working on. Okay. And then you have something that's, I always think low ticket is like anywhere between $1 to 99, something like that. Okay. And then medium is usually when one of these things is turned into a subscription. And it can be $1 to 99, but because it's monthly or yearly, people think of it psychologically like it's a little bit more expensive. Because let's say if it's $99, but it's monthly, they're actually paying you over $1,000 per year. Does that make sense? And if someone was an average American and they make $50,000, $60,000 a year, you're asking them to give up like 2% of their entire yearly income before taxes for your software, which is for most people a big ask. Okay. There's some rich people, it doesn't matter, or businesses, it doesn't really matter. And then high ticket is anything that's like 2000 plus. And usually this requires like a phone call. Does that make sense? Phone call or a webinar where they're on with you for a long time. This makes sense? The reason for this is the math of advertising is going to have these numbers. Okay. CPC is cost per click. CPL is cost per lead. This applies to anything. Cost per lead. How do you define a lead? Cost per message? No. Cost per message is a monetization path. You could run like DM ads and then you could say that's cost per message, but really cost per message in that case would be cost per lead. It's the same thing. What's CPA or CAC? We know what lifetime value is. It's the amount of money they spend with you over the lifetime of their relationship. Okay. I know cost per view. Okay. And M stands for like mealy. So it's like cost per 1,000 views. Average order value. And other people, it's cash collected. That's what average order value means, like how much money did you collect right away? CPA, costs per acquisition or cost acquiring customer. When you have a funnel, you're going to build a funnel. Okay. And at the top of this funnel, you're going to have marketing, okay, which requires an ad of some sort. And then at the bottom of the funnel, you have your lifetime value. Does that make sense? Which is basically your average order value multiplied by the number of times someone pays. So at every single stage of this funnel, there's something called drop off. So people will drop off. Okay. Have you ever seen an ad, watched it, but not clicked on it? Yes. Have you ever clicked on an ad, but then not opted in? Yes. Have you ever opted in, but then not scheduled a call or not purchased? Yes. Have you ever purchased, but then canceled and not purchased again? Yes. Have you ever purchased something, but not purchased the upsells? Yes. This applies to every business model. If you're selling oil and gas to governments, e-commerce stores, software, or anything, it's all the same business model. You have marketing, and at every single stage, a percentage of these people are going to drop off. That makes sense? So you're building a machine, but in order to make people aware that they have this problem, there's some kind of marketing costs. If your marketing costs get people to actually know that they have a problem to go to your website, then you have operational costs. Okay? To actually run the company, they give you money, and hopefully what they give you is more than the marketing and operational costs at scale. If you can do that over and over again, then you have a functioning business. Okay. So whenever you're thinking about, again, I'm trying to give you guys the why behind what you're doing. When you're building an ad, you're actually not just building an ad. You're building an ad that goes into a funnel or a system that drives people to make a purchase. This funnel and this system, if it's advanced, should actually have an ascension model. So if you have something that's free, that could be the ad, it could be a webinar, it could be social media. When people go through your funnel, a lot of digital marketers will call it squeezing the juice. Okay. So you want to squeeze as much juice out of it as possible. What if someone goes through this machine and they say, I want this solution, but I only have $100. I only have $50. Should you let them get the $50 solution, the $10 solution? Or should you tell them, no, if you don't have $5,000, you can't work with me? Has the $5,000, okay, but maybe they, for whatever reason, want to do it themselves. So they say, yeah, maybe I'll hire you later down the line, but I'd rather do it myself. I want to learn the process. Is there a way that can pay you less, maybe get education or software, but not necessarily have you do everything for me? So if someone wants to pay you $1, $50, $100 a month, you should let them. If someone wants to pay you 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 100,000, you should let them. Is that fair? Does that make sense? Think of the example that I always use here is a really expensive company. I always think of luxury brands like Ferrari. Okay. You guys have probably heard me use this example before. But how much is a Ferrari car? It's super expensive, right? But you can also buy like a Ferrari t-shirt or a Ferrari keychain, or you can follow Ferrari on social media. So you can be part of their free social media. You can buy a keychain or a t-shirt for 10, 20 bucks, right? I'm sure they have some kind of community or subscription, some kind of retainer. I've never bought a Ferrari, but I'm sure they have some kind of monthly fee for maintenance or whatever it may be. If you buy a Ferrari car, that's really expensive. Does that make sense? Ferrari will allow you to pay them $10, but they will also allow you to pay them millions if you buy the fancy car. Is that fair? So you want to do the same thing. And the most advanced funnels take people on a journey that will put the person in the correct bucket. Okay? So let's brainstorm here. How, through an ad, do we put people in the right bucket whereby if someone wants to pay you, I'll say $29 a month, or someone wants to pay you, or someone wants to pay you $5,000, maybe even a month, how can you have the same funnel squeeze the juice whereby someone's getting this and someone's getting this? What's the best way to do that? And the answer to this is going to be how to make an ad. But how do you do the upsell? The whole lesson here is that there's upsells, right? There's some upsells, there's some that, like a downsell would be saying, hey, my product is $5,000. A downsell would be someone comes in, they say, I want to buy a Ferrari. And they say, oh, it's $100,000. They say, I only have $20. And the salesperson says, oh, maybe you should buy this t-shirt. That's a downsell. That makes sense. It's saying you don't have the money for the most expensive thing, but let's sell lesser expensive thing. Whereas an upsell would be, oh, you thought you wanted the t-shirt, but let me take you in the back room here, and we actually have this car for sale if you have a lot of money. So how do you do that? everything sometimes is really bad and sometimes it's really good. That's just the difference between people doing it right versus doing it wrong. But everyone does this. So for example, have you ever tried to buy something on Apple? Like you guys think like ClickFunnels, like all these annoying upsells, right? ClickFunnels, and you're like, buy this, and you're like, that sucks. I don't like that. How about this? How about Apple? Here's an upsell immediately. And then here's another upsell immediately. Color. These are upsells. Think of this as like a one-click upsell. Upsell, one-click upsell. Upsell, one-click upsell. Upsell, one-click upsell. Look at this, guys. Like this is just a series of upsells. I'm not going to sign in here, but this is going to be an upsell too, because it's going to tell you like, oh, the Apple Care is an upsell. Have you ever seen a ClickFunnels, or Alex does this a lot? We did this with MentorBox. So you buy something, it's like, do you want to also buy this? Do you want to also buy this? Do you want to also buy this? And everyone that goes to your ClickFunnels funnel is annoyed, right? And they're like, how many times are you going to ask me if I want to buy something else? Have you ever felt that? This is what Apple does. This is the biggest company in the world. First click, upsell. Second click, upsell. Third click, upsell. Fourth click, upsell. Sixth click, upsell. That's 5 upsells. 5 upsells in their funnel for their new iPhone. Okay, so what are they doing? What number are they trying to increase here? All these upsells, what do they do? Does it affect the cost per view, the cost per click, the cost per lead, the cost per acquisition, the average order value, or the lifetime value? Average order value. But AOV is the thing that they're really trying to figure out. They're trying to increase the average order value. Does that make sense? And I would argue the lifetime value is mostly the Apple Care, because that's where you get on a subscription. Every single month, you're automatically spending. This makes sense? So you have the in-funnel, okay, system. But then you also have another option. Okay, so you can just have a series of upsells that are automatically in your funnel. What's another funnel? What's another option? If Apple had an upsell that was $5,000, do you think that I would buy it? What if Apple had a button, okay, that said, buy 1,000 iPhones? Would you like to buy 1,000 of them? My order is already $1,600. If there was a button that said, how many do you want? Do you want to buy 1,000 of them in bulk? Would that work? Would I click one button and do an order for $1.6 million? If you're a rich CEO, you still wouldn't. You would. If I was going to make a $1.6 million order, would I do it in the funnel just spontaneously? Oh, click. Oh yeah, actually I do want 1,000. Well, is that how you'd order? Exactly. You'd make a call. You would talk to a representative of their company, which Apple has enterprise sales for sure. Like, have you ever been to a company and every employee has an Apple computer? That's an enterprise sale. They're buying $500,000 worth of Apple products. Does that make sense? So that would never be done over the internet. It's not going to be click, click. It's going to be through a conversation, a call. And then I'm going to maybe send a contract. And we're going to negotiate. I'm going to say, well, if I buy 2,000, do I get a discount? That's the way these bulk orders work. Does that make sense? So now that we have this in mind, what's another way you can get people to buy more? You have one way, which is add upsells in your purchasing path. But then what's the other option? So how would you get someone in your funnel to buy something from you for $5,000? We just talked about it. It's the same way that Apple offer a call. The best way when you're thinking about this Ascension model is you're going to have an ad and then push people to a funnel. The funnel will probably offer some upsells. Most of the time it will. And then you will also push them to a call. If you have a software, the easiest way to do this is to have an onboarding. Okay. Where the call is an onboarding call, which if they're a good fit, you can sell something for 5K plus. Does that make sense? What's the reverse of this? What if you have a high ticket funnel? And this is actually what I do with my other company. So I have an ad, okay? And then what is the funnel for a high ticket product, meaning the expensive product? If they buy 5K up front, or if they're not qualified, they do the downsell. This is the funnel that I use. What is this called? You have an ad, and then you try to sell the most expensive thing right away. And then if they can't afford it, then you downsell the cheaper product. What is this called? So this funnel is asking people to buy. The CTA here is buy. Does that make sense? The CTA here is to what? If I'm going to immediately ask someone to pay something for $5,000, what's the CTA, the call to action? Yeah, book a call. Exactly. Okay. So now think about this. You have ads that can go to funnels that will ask people to buy something. And then you ask them to schedule a call. Or you can have ads that go to a funnel that ask people to book a call, and then you ask them to buy something. Does this make sense? One is called a call funnel or an appointment funnel, and the other one is a direct-to-purchase funnel. Some people call it direct-to-consumer. Does this make sense? These are basically the only really two options you can have. There's an advanced version of this, which is what I'm going to show you. This is what I use. At the end of the day, the question is, what's your CTA? If you're trying to sell the most expensive product first, you ask people to book a call. If you're trying to sell the cheaper product first, you just ask them to buy right away.